Army's electronic warfare has produced a list of targets for a coordinated attack against U.S. aircraft carrier strike groups.
The Chinese scientists have revealed the design of a new generation electronic warfare weapon that looks straight out of an action movie.
Picture this, one advanced U.S. The carrier comes with a price tag of about $13.2 billion. Across the ocean, China is developing robotic ships with an estimated cost of only $2.8 million each. That comparison is sparking huge conversations, because for the cost of a single carrier, you could potentially build thousands of these smaller robotic vessels. In this video, we'll explore what makes this math so fascinating, what these ships do, and why this new approach to naval technology could change everything. When we talk about modern fleets, one figure towers above the rest: the U.S. Ford-class aircraft carrier, with a procurement cost officially listed at $13.2 billion in the U.S. Navy's 2025 budget reports. These carriers are floating cities, hosting thousands of crew, dozens of aircraft, and an enormous logistical capacity. They are among the most expensive machines ever built by humans. Now put that number against another, $2.8 million per ship, the figure often attached to China's JARI unmanned surface vessel. According to the viral comparison, that means one carrier equals more than 4,700 robotic ships. It's an equation that captures attention instantly. But here's the important clarification. Unlike the well-documented Ford-class costs, there's no public, verifiable source that confirms the JARI's $2.8 million price tag. Defense analysts suggest this number may be more of a projection or marketing claim than an officially published cost. Even with that caveat, the idea waits because it demonstrates a striking contrast in philosophy. The U.S. invests in fewer, larger, incredibly capable ships. China, on the other hand, is experimenting with smaller, modular, and potentially mass-produced robotic platforms. This raises a key question. Is the future about one giant centerpiece or thousands of smaller, smart vessels working together? This is where the math matters. If each JARI can be produced relatively cheaply compared to a massive carrier, then scale becomes the story. Industrial capacity and affordability could make it possible to deploy many units in different roles: patrol, surveillance, escort, or even acting as mobile sensor nodes. That's why analysts describe this trend as a potential rethink of maritime technology. And here's what makes it important for everyone watching. It's not just about who spends the most money, but how does that money translate into usable platforms? One side is investing in prestige and concentrated strength. The other is exploring distributed, affordable numbers. It's a reminder that sometimes in technology, quantity and innovation can challenge tradition. In the next section, we'll go beyond the price tags and look closely at what these JARI robotic ships actually can do and why they're attracting so much attention. So what exactly are these ships, and why do people call them so advanced for their size? The JARI Unmanned Surface Vessel, USV, is designed as a compact, multi-mission platform. The first version, unveiled publicly in 2018 and sea-trialed in 2019, measured about 15 meters long and displaced around 20 tons. Despite being small, it featured equipment normally seen on much larger ships. For instance, the JARI carried a phased array radar providing 360-degree coverage, an electro-optical sensor suite, and the option to integrate sonar for underwater detection. Armament modules were showcased, including a 30mm remote-controlled gun, vertical launch cells for small missiles, and even torpedo tubes for anti-submarine roles. This is why defense observers described it as a mini-destroyer. It wasn't simply a patrol craft. It was designed to cover air defense, surface engagement, and undersea monitoring in one compact package. The latter development, known as the JARI USVA or sometimes the Orca, expanded the concept dramatically. This version is much larger, built with a trimaran hull for stability, stealth shaping for reduced detection, and a design length reported between 58 meters with displacement figures from 300 to 420 tons depending on the source. Unlike the smaller model, the Orca features space for vertical launch cells, a retractable gun system, and even a rear deck capable of supporting VTOL drones or helicopters. It's also reported to use active electronically scanned array, AESA, radar panels mounted on its superstructure technology that allows it to track multiple targets at once with high precision. Analysts noted that the Orca could be operated with or without crew, making it an optionally manned system, which adds flexibility for long missions. The concept here is modularity. The same hull could be fitted with different mission payloads, some for surveillance, some for electronic sensing, and some for more active roles. That means rather than relying on a single multipurpose ship, fleets could mix and match capabilities depending on the mission. What stands out isn't just the hardware, it's the philosophy. Smaller, cheaper platforms that can be produced in greater numbers might create a distributed network across seas, each acting like a node in a larger system. If one is lost, the impact is minimal compared to losing a billion-dollar ship. So, while cost figures remain uncertain, the capabilities on display show why the JARI program has drawn global attention. In the next section, let's explore what this means strategically and why it may point toward a very different future in naval technology. The biggest reason people are paying attention to this comparison is simple. It challenges traditional thinking. For decades, maritime strength has been defined by the biggest, most capable vessels, aircraft carriers, heavy destroyers, nuclear submarines. But the rise of robotic platforms like JARI suggests that a new logic might be emerging: distribution instead of concentration. Consider this: a single carrier represents enormous capability, but also enormous vulnerability. If something takes it offline, the impact is immediate and massive. By contrast, a fleet of smaller robotic ships spreads risk. Losing one unit is far less consequential. This isn't about replacing carriers outright, but about creating a complementary force structure where affordable. Autonomous vessels handle roles that don't require a giant crewed platform. This approach also plays into industrial and economic strengths. Mass-producing small ships requires a different supply chain than building one giant vessel over many years. China's shipbuilding industry has shown the ability to produce commercial and naval ships at scale. So even if the $2.8 million figure is debatable, the idea of rapid, large-scale output is realistic. We've seen parallels elsewhere. The US, for instance, is experimenting with its robotic fleets through programs like Sea Hunter and the Ghost Fleet Overlord, which tests long-endurance, unmanned ships. More recently, initiatives such as the Replicator program aim to develop thousands of low-cost autonomous platforms, both sea-based and aerial, that can be deployed quickly. This shows that multiple nations see value in affordability and quantity, not just prestige ships. Of course, challenges remain. Robotic ships depend heavily on reliable communication links, advanced software, and resilience against interference. They also require support infrastructure, maintenance, fueling, deployment bases that must be scaled up. And while smaller vessels are cheaper individually, networking them into a cohesive and effective system requires sophisticated planning. Still, the strategic implications are clear. The future may not belong exclusively to large capital ships. Instead, it may be shaped by the ability to field flexible, scalable networks of autonomous platforms. For audiences watching this space, that's the fascinating part. The real competition isn't about one country's budget number. It's about who adapts faster to this shift in technology. This is why the $13.2 billion versus $2.8 million comparison struck such a chord. It crystallizes a bigger debate. Is the next era about singular might or about collective efficiency? That's the lesson this story pushes us to consider. At the end of the day, this isn't just about ships or carriers. It's about a dramatic shift in how technology and economics can redefine global strategy. The $2.8 million JARI vessels versus the $13.2 billion Supercarrier highlights a future where cost-effectiveness and innovation may outweigh traditional measures of power.